Hey there, Cape Cod. It is not noon on Wednesday because our friends at Facebook were having what is probably a worse day than ours. And with that down, we've decided to go to another format because we didn't want you to miss this show about getting married. I think you probably could have figured out that that's today's topic. And with us is Jamie Bohlin, who is the owner of Cape Cod Celebrations wedding planning service. And she is also the production manager of the Big Fake Wedding, which is happening on March 30th. So we want to tell you that there are a few tickets left for that. Why don't we start there, Jamie? Welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk a little bit about this event coming up. It's really fabulous. You should definitely get your tickets while there's still some left. The Big Fake Wedding is a bridal show alternative in the form of a fake wedding. So brides and grooms are the guests. They attend. They get to see things like a wedding cake. They get to see things that they could wear. There's photographers. There's, what else is there? There's a band.
There's a meal too, right?
There's food. There's drink. There's dancing. You name it. So it is like going to a fake wedding, but the attendees are future brides and grooms that get to experience all these vendors in action. They get to meet and greet with them and be inspired. So it's a fabulous way to learn what you want to do for your wedding.
It sounds like a really fun evening, especially if you're someone who loves weddings no matter what.
Yes.
And I've heard that a couple who's already married will
That's right.
renew their vows.
Yes. So the couple that is getting married will renew their vows. There are 2 bridesmaids, 2 groomsmen. There's a whole cast. They will renew their vows in front of strangers, which is interesting, but a lot of fun. But part of the goals of the Big Fake Wedding is, one of them is to inspire committed and solid marriages. So that ceremony part of it is kind of the kickoff to the event. And then we like to inspire brides and grooms and also to promote the local and small businesses in the area that are trying to showcase what they can do. So it's a kind of a threefold goal for the Big Fake Wedding.
And I noticed that you have many vendors signed up who will be able to introduce their goods, and some of them we're going to start today. We'd like to thank Sposabella Bridal in Hyannis for turning us into brides for a day here. It's interesting though, because in your real wedding you don't sit around in your veil. So we've been sitting here thinking we can't crush these, but
very
beautiful detailing, both the pearls on mine and the lace on yours.
It's lovely.
And we also have a cake here.
Yes, the cake today is from the Bashful Tart Bakery in South Yarmouth, and she does fabulous work. Sposabella and the Bashful Tart will both be at the Big Fake Wedding, showcasing dresses, tuxes, bridesmaids dresses, and then the wedding cake, which I'm excited to see. So this is not the one you'll see at the Big Fake Wedding, so you have to come see it or check it out after to see what creation she comes up with.
Now, the one at the Big Fake Wedding, can you eat that one? Because
you can.
There's a little problem with this. She brings a wedding cake for the show, but we can't even dip our fingers in the frosting because it's styrofoam underneath,
You do get to sample it at the event. Yes,
okay, great. I might come just for that.
Yes,
but that event is at the West End restaurant.
That's
and
right.
A lovely
Taking over
place.
The whole space.
And also, the tickets are $25, or there'll be a few available at the door for $30. And we don't usually sort of advertise like this, but I think that a lot of people would find this to be a fun way to do things they should be doing about getting ready for probably next year's weddings, right? 2020?
Yeah, it's mostly will be 2020 brides, I believe. Some will come looking for some inspiration or, last minute brides that are trying to find some vendors. But usually we'll see we're booking a lot into 2020, and that's a big, I can't believe I'm saying that it's 2020. But right now we're kicking off that season, even though 2019 hasn't even begun for us. So it's interesting.
Well, I personally am not a good example because I planned my wedding in 8 weeks. But I understand people spend a very long time doing this.
They do. They absolutely do. Yeah, years sometimes.
And do you get many grooms at these events?
That is a great question.
Twice before.
Yes, so we do. This is actually a very groom-friendly event. We have a lot of our brides show up with their grooms, and you can get dressed up a little bit like you're going to a real wedding. So it's kind of cute to see the brides and grooms show up together, and the grooms might be wearing a suit or something like they are going to a fake wedding. So it's a fun event. The guys like it too, I have to say. So bring them along.
Now, you're here wearing two veils, as it were.
Yes.
Because you're also here to talk a little bit about something you offer your brides or grooms at Cape Cod Celebrations, and that's the emergency kits.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What does that involve?
So we brought a couple things today, but we always carry an emergency kit with us, and some of the things that we like to be sure we have on hand are going to be Band-Aids.
Okay.
We always have people that need Band-Aids. One of the other big things, where is it, down at the bottom? Ibuprofen, Advil. I'm always getting asked for that.
This is not sounding hopeful
and
promising.
I know, right? Sewing kit. Sewing kit's very important. I've actually sewn a bridesmaid into her dress before because she busted the zipper. So you never know when you're going to need that. I mean, anything in here. We have pins, we have mints, we have hairbrushes, we have deodorant. Oh, this is the other big one too. Oops, I have it in a little bag. Tide to go when you spill.
So if you spill on something.
And you spill. And then the other big secret, oh my gosh, where is it? Chalk.
All right, that one I haven't heard of.
Chalk is, so if you spill a little something on your wedding dress, we have the chalk available to try and cover it up. So you can just kind of dab some chalk on the white and it'll just cover it up, because a lot of times with the wedding dresses, you can't really touch it or put water on it because it might be satin, silk, things like that. So we take out the chalk and we try and cover it up. But our biggest thing is, you know, if you're dancing and you spill something, it's the end of the day and you know, you got through your ceremony, you're married, that's the biggest, most important thing. But emergency kits, we carry them, and our kits are usually huge. They include step ladders and all sorts of things. But I would always recommend to either have, you know, your mom, your maid of honor, or check with your venue and see if they have all of this available to you. As wedding planners, we have them on us all the time, even all year round. So you never know what I'm going to pull out of my emergency kit.
I have seen kits in the ladies' room and at weddings that have a lot of those things, but I have to say the chalk is new.
It's a new one,
didn't know about that.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good secret.
And I think you also have a checklist that you use.
Yes. So we usually have, when we work with our clients, one of the trickiest times of planning, I usually say, is the first month when you're trying to find the venue and set the date. Once you find that, a lot of the planning can come easier from there. But the other half of it, or the last piece of it, is the last month of planning. And the last month of planning, we put together a 1 month checklist, because there's a lot of things that you can't do until you have your RSVPs, which means you can't do your escort cards, you can't do your table assignments.
Whoa. Obviously, getting married, you know, back in 1986 in 8 weeks, I don't know what an escort card is.
Oh, escort card. So escort card is the card you pick up that is going to escort you to your table. So that is Gwenn Friss, table 2. So you know that's where you're going.
Okay.
Not to be confused with the place card, which would be at your seat when you get there to say this is where you're sitting. So differences. I've learned this along the way.
It's complicated. But I have to tell you, the people
words.
sitting at the wrong tables, you know, people who like start moving everything around, that is a common thing.
It is, and it drives me crazy.
So.
We assigned your seat for a reason.
I don't know. I think putting you up against my husband's cousin on the seat moving would have been a difficult thing, you know? People would have been filming.
It would have been. It would have been. So this 1 month checklist, it's really, you know, coming down to, I've had a lot of people, it's literally on one piece of paper, and we have some of our clients say they put it up on their fridge so they can look at it that month before and be sure they're taking care of things. But it's a lot of things like updating all your vendors with your final guest count, your florist with your final table count, a lot of the last minute paper things that you can't do until you have your guest count, like the escort cards, like your ceremony program, getting your guest book together, any signage, confirming your transportation. So, I mean, it's a lot of really good last minute things that you need to be thinking about in that last month. So this has been really helpful for our clients, and something that keeps you on track, I think, in that last month, because it can be stressful.
Okay, let me, and I hope you guys don't feel like we're rushing Jamie, who, in full disclosure, 10 years ago, as a college student, interned with Cape Cod Online. So it's
good to be back.
Yes, short little visit, our 20-minute video.
Yes.
I wanted to have you talk a little bit about why people decide to use a wedding planner, and what the, sort of the minimum cost is, because I think for a lot of people, they think, oh, that's a big expense.
Right.
And then also, you had some advice when we were chatting, waiting for Facebook to rejoin us. You had some advice on the things that you shouldn't crimp on, and some things that you might be able to curb a little if you're on a budget.
Absolutely. So in terms of hiring a wedding planner, there's a couple different ways or packages that you could bring on a wedding planner. So you don't need to think of a wedding planner as somebody that would potentially plan your entire wedding from start to finish with you never being involved in the process. So number one, we never do that. You're always involved in the process, and all wedding planners do that. The other part of it is just having somebody come and help you a month before. So you can do all of the planning yourself, and we can swoop in and do day of coordination. So usually packages start around $1,500 and go up from there. Some wedding planners charge hourly. It really depends on who you're talking with and who you want to bring onto your team. And it also depends on your needs. If you do feel like you need assistance planning from day one and you don't know where to get married, you don't know what photographer to hire, you need help with your budget and making sure you fit within those things, then yes, full service planning is where it's at. And the cost associated with it, it can, be a significant amount to your budget, but our goal always is to help you find ways to save on your budget, or find ways to make the cost that you're paying for your planner be reflected somewhere else, so we can save that somewhere else. So, we're always trying to help you stay within your budget, which is a big piece of it.
And how do you put a price on being stress-free?
Right.
Plus, you can't sew yourself into a dress.
You cannot sew yourself into a dress. No, you definitely need somebody there. And then the other question you mentioned earlier when we were talking about things, some of the things that I think that are very important to your day, definitely music, definitely having a great photographer or videographer there to capture all of it, because that's the only way you can look back on it. And, the food and drink is always very, very important.
Yes, I still feel very proud that we had a chocolate mousse cake with whipped cream frosting, and people were coming up while we were trying to dance and asking if there was more cake.
So cake is important too. Dessert.
Cake is very important.
Yep. Especially if you have a sweet tooth like I do. I'm always going for the cake. That's very important to me.
Let me ask you a little bit now. We're talking, if we look at national trends, I think you told me it's $33,000.
$33,000 from the knot.com is where this report came from in 2018. They usually put out a report every year, but $33,000 is the average spend on a wedding. But the average spend on a wedding on Cape Cod is about $55,000. So we are way ahead of the average. And I believe in the report last year, we were in the top 5 most expensive places in the nation to get married, which is...
Well, thanks for dropping by with that good
news.
Yes, I know.
But everybody's getting married. They're still getting married.
Coming for destination
They
weddings?
are, absolutely. I mean, for us personally, about 98% of the weddings that we plan are people who do not live here. So we're dealing with destination brides, from California to Chicago, New York City, Atlanta, Texas. Those are some of the big places that we've worked with clients from. And we do still have some locals, which we get really excited when they are local. But they all have different connections to the Cape. It's, we used to summer here. My parents have a house here. I grew up here and I moved away and I want to come back. So there's just this really awesome connection. I love hearing the stories. That's one thing I always ask is, why Cape Cod? Tell me why you're coming here for your wedding. It's really fun to hear that.
That must be a good thing to mention in the ceremony.
Absolutely.
It seems to me that generally Cape Cod is as a peninsula is a place where everybody has a connection. I was there once.
Yes.
We're very lucky to not have to explain where we are and what the area is known for.
It's very important. The other thing too is when they're having these events here, they're bringing so many more people to Cape Cod that have never been here before. And so it's really amazing for the industry on the Cape in terms of restaurants, in terms of hotels. You think of one wedding could be 150 people, 175 people on average, and bringing all those people here to Cape Cod to show them the place that they love. It's
and
really
to spend
cool
money.
Thing. And to spend money here. We love it. Yes.
Destination weddings generate income.
Sure do.
So now, because I am, as many people, a big animal fan, I did want to ask about animals in weddings. Yes or
no?
Very popular.
So it is very popular. We do see a lot of dogs at weddings. I do highly recommend that if you have your dog in your wedding, that they're either trained or, you know, ready to be in the ceremony. Sometimes we see the dogs just show up for photos, which is a nice way to incorporate them without, you know, hoping that they'll make it down the aisle and not run away. Yeah. Yeah. One tip is do not ever tie the rings to the dog's collar.
Okay.
Just don't do it. Just
Fake
pretend they're there.
Fake rings from Michael's.
Yeah. Exactly. So. Exactly. But dogs are very popular especially on Instagram. We love to post dog pictures because everybody loves them.
Yes. As you're talking, I am getting out. Our cameraman, Jason, brought these in for the staff. Which are mostly humans, although we have a couple of dogs. And these are human cookies, but shaped as dog bones. Obviously, so there was a dog lover involved in this. So thank you to Jason, and just one idea for
exactly nodding to your pets in that way as a little favor. Or we've seen signature drinks named after pets, which is a really fun way to incorporate your pets. So if your dog's not, you know, the perfect dog to be at the ceremony, you can absolutely incorporate them in some other way, by the signature drink or by a cute little favor.
I remember going to a wedding once where they wanted to have their dogs very close to them, but they were mastiffs and they were nervous about people being nervous around them.
Right.
And we ended up doing little chocolate bones that we put into cellophane treat bags and had a picture of the two dogs scanned onto it with greetings to the couple. You know?
Yes.
And no one had to be worried about, you know, watching them or anyone being afraid of them.
Right.
So is there, you were saying that you said something interesting about how Cape Cod tends to be very traditional.
Yes.
So we see the trends later or not at all.
Right. Yes, that's definitely true. I mean, a lot of the weddings that we plan definitely have the Cape Cod feel to it. So it's going to have some sort of a nautical touch in some way, shape, or form. We do have some people that say, you know, we're on Cape Cod. We get that we're on Cape Cod. We can see the water. Mm-hmm. We don't need to put, you know, starfish and hydrangeas everywhere. But we do see a lot of the Cape Cod touches because that's why they're here.
So, Jamie, we can't all afford $55,000. And before we go, how about a couple of cost-saving tips to get us through?
Sure, absolutely. So one of my biggest things is to repurpose as much as you can. So the flowers that you use at the ceremony, can you repurpose them at the reception? The bouquets, can you repurpose them at the reception? You know, how can you repurpose as many things as you have? You know, sometimes you can reuse the ceremony chairs, sometimes you can't, depending on where you are. So thinking about how you can repurpose. Another thing is choosing your wedding date. So if you are open to not having a Saturday in September and you're open to a Friday or a Sunday or even a weekday wedding, your event minimums can drop significantly and you have a little bit more negotiating options with vendors because a DJ might not typically be doing a wedding on a Wednesday, so they might be able to negotiate with you. And then the biggest one, which all my clients hate to hear, is cutting the guest list, because that's the one place where your guest list is going to affect your food and beverage count. It's going to affect your rentals. It's going to affect your number of invitations you order. So cutting your guest list can save a lot, and nobody likes to hear that, but it's the truth.
So we're running out of time, but if people have questions about wedding planning, since we don't have a question session today, where should they go to you?
Absolutely. So what I would recommend is when we post this on your page, you can absolutely comment below at Cape Cod Celebrations, and we'll pay attention to that and answer any questions you have. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Have fun at your big fake wedding.
We are going to have fun. It'll be a blast.